Hey guys, welcome to another episode of SEO Tips and Tricks. This is Mani Karthik. So, in today's episode, we'll take a look at a very significant question that I get asked a lot these days, and it is SEO dead? So profound and so significant a question, isn't it? As someone who's been working in the SEO industry for the last 15, 20 years, I know that it's very easy to get tricked to be thinking that SEO is dead, but it's not, and I'll come to why. In order to answer this question, you also need to understand why people are thinking along those lines as to why SEO is dead. I have to make a lot of assumptions here. So I'm assuming this question came up, and perhaps people were looking at different SEO techniques, the age-old tactical techniques like changing your page title or adding in a heading or changing the all tags on images, or very tactical classic on-site SEO optimization techniques. These tend to be very popular because anyone can do it. Any webmaster, anyone who has a website can change a few things here and there, the on-site stuff, and expect it to do miracles. And quite honestly, back in those days, around 2002 to 2004, I guess, around that time, some of these things actually worked. Unfortunately, but it was good at that point of time because search engines were evolving, and it was one good way of search engines to figure out the content of a website by analyzing the stuff on the pages. So a lot of significance was given to the on-site metrics like page titles or headings or all tags on images and things like that, and it worked for a brief period of time. I would say brief, even like a good sizable amount of time, a couple of years actually. But then, search engines started to evolve. Some of these things that worked in the past stopped doing so, and then people got freaked out. So around the time, maybe about 2008s and 10s, when social media was coming into the picture, and many of the things that we knew worked in SEO started to change, new dynamics came into place. Some of these old school SEO stuff started to be less and less significant, and that's when people started to freak out. So then we started raising questions like, what is more significant? Is it the all tags, or is the H1 tags? Is H1 better than H2? Or how important is the page title tags and all that stuff? And as time progressed, most of these on-site optimization or on-site metrics started to be lesser and lesser significant in the bigger scenario of things. And things like social media bounce rates or dwell time, overall quality and brand, and all those different things also came into pictures. I mean, search engines like Google, predominantly Google, started to look at these metrics to figure out if a content on a website is more relevant, or a website itself is relevant for a particular query or not. So when this change in dynamic happened, a lot of the people who were only resorting to very tactical level of SEO, they started to freak out, and that's when we started to ask this question: is SEO dead? I mean, I'm making a lot of assumptions here, but whenever someone asks me that question, I ask them, how do you define SEO, right? So then they talk about, most of the times it's all about the on-site SEO, maybe a little bit of link building and stuff as well, but that too has gotten completely evolved. Back in those days, it was mostly the number of links you had on the website that actually mattered, or defined your authority. But now it's also about the quality, right? Like one .edu link or a gov link or something very relevant from a famous brand is more significant than a number of directory submissions or links achieved from those. So when those things started to not work, people started to freak out again, and that's when people started to ask if SEO is dead or not. So my answer to the question is no. SEO is not dead, but it's evolved, right? So back in those days, like I mentioned, when certain things that we knew worked, everything was working, and everyone was goody-goody, we thought it would stay the same forever. But no, search engines are really clever, and they actually are learning on the move, right? Even today, the stuff that we talk about will be outdated in the next 5 years, maybe the next 2 years, or 1 year maybe, because the level of learning some of these search engines have is amazing. I mean, they are bringing in AI and things that even somebody like me don't even understand. I mean, it's a collaborative environment, and there's a lot of things involved, a lot of moving things, and it's not one person's brain that's working. It's learning on its own, and there's so many things that still have to be unearthed by research and testing and experiments and things like that. And we, even if we did all of that, we would only be knowing maybe less than 1% of the whole thing. But one thing that consistently works is good quality, right? If you manually look at a website and say, this is not what I was looking for on Google, there are different things working, and you would be able to say that because of certain things like maybe the overall look and feel of the website, or the kind of content, or the way it is written, or the design elements you have there, things like that. So sometimes it's a very holistic picture, right? It's like you can feel it. You sometimes won't be able to put your finger on what exactly is missing, but you could tell that this is not a good website, or this is needs improvement and things like that. So search engines these days can think along those lines as good as a human would do. So it's best to just put on your hat and take a good judgment of what you're doing and analyze the website yourself, rather than just focusing on certain things, like for example the on-site metrics, or the number of links, or all those different tactical things. I mean, some of those things actually helps you with a small push, but most of the times if you go completely overboard with it, it will feel like it has stopped working, and that's why people complain that SEO is not working anymore or is dead. So my short answer to that question is SEO is not dead. For sure it's not dead, but I'm pretty sure that people will be asking this question as long as there is SEO. In the next 2 years, 3 years, things will definitely be changing, and we will be asking the same question then. In fact, we've actually started asking things about, is social media dead? Or is it good quality traffic that we're getting from social media? At one point, we were all so excited about social media traffic because all that spike we got from Digg and Facebook, and it's no longer working for certain industries. For certain industries, it does work. Search engines are playing a lot of catch up with the technologies, and that's what's happening essentially in the back end. It's nothing is dead. It's just evolving. It's the way it is, and that's how they keep themselves smart. So next time somebody asks you or tells you that SEO is dead, just tell them that no, it's not dead. It's just evolving. So catch you in the next episode. See ya.